Hi everyone, welcome to today's class. So this is day 4 of the Flow with Your Cycle challenge, and today's class is all about a flow with modifications and options. So every yoga class should always give you options and modifications to make the poses more accessible. But this class I've specifically designed poses where there are different options to do depending on what you want to experience and what you're working on, as well as that thing we've been talking about listening to our body, tapping into that feedback, and then using it in the way that we're doing poses. So this is the real focus of this class. So each pose will have different ways that you can get into it, challenge yourself, make it more accessible, a bit softer, depending on how you feel. And the important thing is there's no right or wrong way. It's about listening to your body and honoring what it's telling you. You don't need to think about it too much. You don't need to analyze it. Listening to your body and adjusting the pose accordingly. So we're going to start in a seated meditation. So just sitting in this upright, comfortable position. Shoulders are away from your ears. Closing your eyes. And just focusing on your breath. We're not controlling or trying to change our breath. Just simply noting it. And in meditation, our minds will wander, completely natural. The important thing is not to judge ourselves or focus on those thoughts, and just to simply let them pass. Like a cloud passing across the sky, you're just noting it and letting it move on, bringing that focus back to the breath. Just a couple more breaths here. Lovely, and when you're ready, just slowly blink open your eyes. So we're going to come into the first pose. We're just going to stay in this seated position and just do cactus arm stretching. So what this means is basically bend into your elbows, fingertips are spread wide like this, creating a sort of cactus shape with your arms. And on the inhale, we're going to press our hands back so our shoulder blades are squeezing together. And on the exhale, we're going to round and contract our back, bringing our palms together in front of our face. So inhale, squeeze shoulder blades together, look up to the sky. Exhale, bring chin to chest, palms together. Twice more like this. Inhale, look up, squeeze them together. Exhale, round and contract, chin to chest. Inhale, opening up, allowing that breath to fill your chest. Exhale, the breath falls from the belly, chin to chest. And come back to neutral. You can drop your hands down. Now we're going to do a similar motion, so cat-cow, but in this seated position. So I'm just going to turn to the side so you can see a bit better what's going on. So hands are just gently resting on our knees. Inhale, we're going to squeeze those shoulder blades together again, pressing the chest forward, looking up. Exhale, round and contracting our back. And we're going to do 4 rounds of that. So inhale, chest forward, up to the sky. Exhale, really focus on rounding the upper and mid back. Inhale, pressing the chest forward. And exhale. Twice more in your own breath rhythm. Lovely. And when you've done the 2 rounds, come back to neutral. So we're going to come into our next pose, thread the needle. So you need to come onto all fours, ensure your knees are directly below your hips, wrists are directly below your shoulders, fingertips are spread wide, pushing into the tops of your feet, lifting your right arm up towards the sky, then threading it underneath so your right shoulder and right ear come down to the mat. And you may have noticed that your hips have sort of shifted towards the left, so just press them towards the right to make sure your hips are even. You can stretch your left arm in front of you to help with balance. And this is the first modification of the pose. You can stay in this twist. If you would like to add a challenge and a balance component, you can rest onto the weight onto your right side, and then you can lift your left leg up towards the sky. And whichever pose you're in, we're going to stay here for 4 breaths. Pressing into the back of your right arm. One more breath here. And if you're in the balance pose, you can bring your left knee down to the mat, press into your left palm to come out of the pose, stretch that right arm back up to the sky, and just see if there's any difference since you've done the pose. And we're going to do it on the other side. So lifting left arm up to the sky, threading it underneath so left shoulder and left ear come down to the mat, making sure to shift your hips so that they're even. And you can stay here. You can stretch your right fingertips up above. And if you want to do the balance version, shift your weight into your left side, lifting your right leg up, extending it up to the sky. And whichever pose you're in, we're going to stay here for 4 breaths. Focusing on your breathing to help you with your balance if you're in the balance pose. One more breath here. And if you're in the balance pose, you can bring your right knee down, stretching, coming out of the pose, lifting that left arm up to the sky to see if there's any difference, and coming back to neutral. And we're going to walk our hands back, coming to sitting on our heels, and we're going to come into extended child's pose. So big toes together, knees as far apart as you like, lifting up through our hips on the inhale, coming out of our hips, hinging forward at the hips as you crawl your hands forward, pressing your chest down towards the mat and resting your forehead gently after. And we're going to stay in this pose for a couple of minutes, just deep breathing. And we're going to be here in silence so you can just melt into the pose and focus on your breath. And we're going to slowly come out of the pose, pressing your hands in, walking them towards your knees, sitting up. So we're going to come into downward facing dog, then moving into triangle pose. So you may need a block for triangle pose, so just get that ready if you haven't got it by your mat already. And we're going to come into downward facing dog. So you can come onto all fours, and we're going to have our hands further out than we did when we did thread the needle, tucking our toes under and then pressing your hips up to the sky. And then once you're here, pressing your chest towards your thighs. The important thing to remember in downward dog is your knees do not need to be straight and your heels do not need to be pressing against the floor. So the primary focus in this pose is the stretching of the spine, the stretching of your hamstrings and your calves, the backs of your legs is a secondary focus. It will still be stretching them, you'll feel it, even if your knees have to be bent. And it might be nice just to press one heel back and bend into the leg and then alternate. And this is a really nice way of just getting some feedback about how your legs might feel different. One might be a bit tighter than the other. So just 3 breaths once you've found your position in downward dog. And we're going to be coming into triangle. So putting our weight into our left foot so we can lift our right leg up to the sky. Use that momentum to bring your right leg forward to the front of the mat and swizzle your left leg back. So left leg is parallel with the shorter edge of the mat. Right toes are facing forward. So getting a stable pose, it should be wider than hip width distance apart, but not so wide that you feel unstable. If you feel unstable here, just bring your foot in a little bit, just to create a really stable grounding for this pose. I'll just place that there. So we're going to come into the pose. To come into triangle pose, you're going to lift and extend the arms out. And we're going to think about, on the inhale, we're going to push our left hips back, while at the same time our right fingertips are stretching forward, coming down to meet your right leg. So the modification in this pose will be where this right arm is placed. So it can be on your calf here, it can come down to your ankle, to the mat, or you can use a block at different levels so that you can come into the pose. So just check in with that, don't rush into this. Find the best pose for you today, best version of this pose I should say. Looking up at the sky, when you're ready, we're going to do 4 breaths here. Making sure we're pressing that left shoulder back. Looking down to the mat to help with balance, bring our left fingertips down, just to help to press up out of the pose. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So bringing our right foot round so it's parallel with the shorter edge of the mat. Now the left toes are facing forward. Bringing your block over if you need it for this side as well. Engaging the arms. And then we're going to kick the right hip goes back. And this time left fingertips come down to meet wherever is good for you. Right fingertips stretch up to the sky, pressing that right shoulder back, gazing up to the sky. And we're going to be here for 4 breaths. And we're pushing into the big toes, lifting the arches of the feet up. One more breath. Gazing down at the mat, bringing right fingertips down just to help with balance. And we're going to come into wide-legged forward fold, so you can just walk your fingertips around, bringing that left leg round so both feet are parallel with the shorter edges of the mat. And you can press up to get into this pose. So here we're going to lift up through our hips on the inhale, and then we're going to hinge at the hips, coming forward down into the pose on the exhale. And the modification of this pose is essentially where your hands are. So the more you bring them out in front of you, the less you'll feel the stretch along your posterior legs, your hamstrings and your calves. If you bring them in closer to the mat, closer to your core, you'll feel the stretch more. So just check in with your hand placement where you can feel that stretching sensation. Remembering we're just seeking that stretching feeling. We're not pushing ourselves, injuring ourselves. If there's any pain or pinching, then we've gone too far into the pose. So find your variation, and we're here for 4 breaths. One more breath. Coming out of the pose, just walk your hands forward and start to heel toe your feet so they're coming closer together. We're going to come into Malasana Yogi Squat. So when your heels are about hip width distance apart, you can sit back, pressing your bottom down towards the mat. If this feels too much, you can place a block underneath and simply resting on the block, coming into Yogi Squat. Elbows are pressing into the knees to keep the hips open, creating space in the pelvis. Hands are pressed together at the center of the heart. It's a really grounding pose. And think about lifting the crown of your head up to the sky, keeping your spine elongated. And just a couple more breaths here. And bring your palms in front of you just so you can lean forward slightly. You can remove the block if it was there. And then you can just sit back to get into our next pose. So we're going to come into Cobra pose. So we just need to slide forward onto our bellies. You can see me. So pressing your hips, thighs and tops of your feet into the floor. Fingertips spread wide. And palms are placed just above your shoulders. So if you were to roll your shoulder like this, you would just lightly be touching the tops of your hands. Press into your palms on the inhale. Think about there being a piece of string at the top of your head that's pulling forward and up. So we want to think about going forward and up in Cobra. Keep a slight bend in the elbows, pressing into the pelvis, pressing into the tops of your feet. There should be no pinching sensation in your lower back. If there is, you need to come down. You've gone too far into the pose. A couple more breaths here. And exhale, coming down. Bringing your hands out in front of you just to create a little pillow. Resting for a couple of breaths here. And if you bring your palms out in front of you, we're going to push back into downward facing dog. So pushing up, bend into your knees and tuck the toes under to press back. Coming into downward facing dog, pressing your chest against your thighs, tailbone up to the sky. And we're going to lift our right leg up to the sky and use that, bending it forward, bringing your right knee just behind your right wrist. You're going to come into pigeon pose, extending your left leg back in front behind you. And before we come into the pose, your shin does not need to be parallel with the shorter edge of the mat. If you have a bend in it like I do at a slight angle, that's absolutely fine. That's just the way your hips are. There's no need to be pressing it forward to be at a right angle. It can be bent like mine. That's absolutely fine. Just need to square off our hips. So we tend to roll onto our right hip in this position. So you just need to bring the weight over to the left side so that you're evenly distributing your weight between your two hips. And the way that we modify pigeon is essentially how low we're meeting the mat. So you can stay up here on your palms, a light gaze up if that feels good for your neck. It's a lovely stretch. You can come down onto your forearms. When you do this, you'll probably feel the stretch intensify in your outer thigh. If you can come all the way down, pressing your forehead on the mat. So just check in with your body as to where it feels good, where you're feeling that stretching sensation, and we're not pushing beyond that. So just once you feel the stretching sensation, it will be in your outer thigh and across your hip. You can stay in that position and we'll be here for 4 breaths. So get into the position that's comfortable for you. Just close your eyes, melt into the pose, and we're just going to do 4 breaths in silence. Start to deepen your breath as you come out of the pose. If you're all the way down to the mat, just start pressing, walking your hands in. Tuck your left toes under to lift your left leg up. We're going to press back into the 3-legged dog. So press back and lift that right leg all the way up to the sky. And see how different that sensation is now you've had that pigeon pose on the right side. Bringing your right toes down. And we're going to do the same thing on the left. So lifting your left leg up, bending into that left knee to bring it behind your left wrist. Pressing back, extending your right leg behind you. Squaring off your hips so your weight is distributed evenly. And get into whichever position you're feeling that sensation without pushing too far. It may be slightly different. We're not symmetrical, so your left may be tighter than your right. So just check in with that. Slowly walking down so you can feel the difference in your leg and you know if you've gone too far. You might be up on your forearms or you might be going all the way down onto your forehead. So get ready into the pose and we'll do 4 breaths in silence in pigeon. One more breath. And if you're all the way down, just start lifting up slowly, walking your palms in. Tuck your toes under. We're coming into 3-legged dog for the left side. So press, push back, lift that left leg straight up to the sky. Notice the difference after pigeon. And bringing your left leg down, back to downward facing dog. Bringing your knees gently down to the mat. Turning around, just coming into a seated position. We're going to come into a seated twist. Before we do, if you are on your period, so you're during your menstruation phase, then we don't advise that you do closed twists, which we're about to do. So instead of crossing over and coming into the closed twist, if you are menstruating, just stay in the seated position and just do this version of an open twist. You can follow the same instructions, but you'll just be in this sitting position. I'm going to do a seated twist. So keeping your right leg bent, left leg comes over the top so that the outer bit of your left foot is pressed against your right thigh. Right hand comes to the left knee, left fingertips stretching back behind you. Inhale, lift your spine up. Exhale, turn into the twist. And 4 deep breaths in this pose. And it's just important to twist as far as is comfortable for you. We're not pushing our bodies further than they need to go. One more deep breath here. And release the twist. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So bringing our left leg bent inwards, right leg goes over the top so our right foot is next to our left thigh. Left hand on the right knee, right fingertips go behind. Inhale to lift up, elongate that spine. Exhale into the twist. Twists are just great poses. They're good for spine health, detoxification. One more breath here. And come out of the twist. Coming out of the twist. And we're going to come into Baddha Konasana, or bound angle pose. So just turning this to the side on your mat. Soles of the feet are together. Pushing into your sitting bones, lifting your spine up to the sky. And we're going to be folding forward into this pose. But before we do, the modifications of this are really how close your heels are to your hips. So if you're bringing them out further in front of you like this, then you'll feel less of a stretch. You'll probably find that you'll be able to come a lot closer to your thighs. The closer that you bring your heels in, the more you're going to probably already feeling that stretch in your inner thighs, and we're going to be coming forward. So just check in with your heel placement to what feels good for you today. Just remembering that we're seeking that stretching sensation, but we're not pushing further than that. So get into a position that feels good for you today. If you are really tight as well, you can always place a block just to rest your head on, if your head can meet the block in the position that's comfortable for you. So just check in with that today. We're going to come into the pose and we'll be there for 4 deep breaths. So as we're coming into the pose, we're lifting out of our hips on the inhale. Exhale, hinging forward, reaching down. I'm just placing my palms facing up, so I'm not pulling down on my feet, trying to pull my chest forward. I'm just letting gravity take me down, allowing my chest and my head to be heavy. One more deep breath here. Turn your palms facing down so you can press and lift yourself up out of the pose. And we're going to come into our final resting pose, Shavasana. So coming down, lying on the mat, taking up space, legs are apart, arms are apart, shoulder blades are down away from the ears. Just allowing your breath to flow naturally. And we're just going to do a couple of rounds of tense and release. So what we do is we inhale, we're going to just gently squeezing our fingertips, pointing our toes away, and just bringing tension to every part of your body. Exhale, release and melt it down into the mat. So it's just a gentle tension, but it's just teaching you to create that difference and to really let go on the exhale. So we're going to just do that one more time. So inhale, gently squeeze your fingers, point your toes, squeeze your glutes, bringing tension in your legs and your arms. And exhale, melt it all, let it go. Your shoulder blades and hips just melting into the ground beneath you. And we're just going to stay here for a couple of minutes of silence in Shavasana. And I'll let you know when we're ready to come out of the pose. Slowly start to deepen your breath as we prepare to come out of the pose. Start some small movements, so roll your ankles, wiggle fingers and toes. And lightly rock your head side to side if that feels good. Stretch your arms up overhead, point your toes away. And in your own time, just roll onto one side, coming up into a seated position. Closing our eyes, rolling our shoulders back. And just a few deep breaths just to reflect on our practice. Think about how we're feeling in our body, how it felt to really listen in and get in tune with that feedback that our body gives us while we're practicing yoga. And place your hands together at the center of your heart. Bow your head, namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope that this class taught you the different modifications and the way that you can listen to your body's feedback and adjust your practice accordingly. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care.